Lily held her breath as the most magnificent creature she'd ever seen descended from the stars. Wings spread wide, wider than her father's cottage, shimmering with light that seemed to come from another world entirely. The silver phoenix landed on the enchanted apple tree with barely a sound, its feathers catching moonbeams and scattering them like 1,000 tiny diamonds across the dark garden. This was it, the thief, the mystery that had haunted Queen Isabella's kingdom for weeks. Lily's hands trembled as she reached for her bow. Her 2 older sisters had failed to stay awake during their watch. Charlotte had fallen asleep the first night, confident in her strength. Rosalind had dozed off the second night, despite all her clever tricks to stay alert. But Lily's small, quiet Lily had remained awake, and now she understood why. The phoenix reached toward one of the glowing silver apples with its beak, but something made Lily pause. In the creature's ancient eyes, she saw something unexpected. Not greed, not evil. Sadness, deep, aching sadness. Her arrow was already notched. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Protect the queen's treasure no matter what. She pulled back the string, her heart hammering against her ribs. The arrow flew. It passed straight through the phoenix's glowing body like a stone through water. The bird didn't flinch, didn't fall. The arrow simply went through it as if the creature were made of moonlight and dreams. For one breathless moment, the entire world seemed to stop. Even the wind held still. Then the phoenix let out a cry, a sound like 1,000 silver bells ringing across the heavens, and a single feather drifted down from its shimmering tail, spinning slowly through the air like a falling star. Lily caught it in her trembling hands. The feather was warm, almost hot, and it pulsed with magic that made her fingertips tingle and her heart race. It glowed so brightly she had to squint, casting dancing shadows across the garden grass. This wasn't just any feather. This was pure magic, ancient and powerful. The silver phoenix looked down at her one last time. Those knowing eyes met hers, and in that moment, something passed between them. A connection, an understanding, a promise of something yet to come. With one powerful thrust of its magnificent wings, the bird launched into the night sky. Silver light trailed behind it like stardust, and within heartbeats, it vanished into the darkness above the kingdom, leaving only the echo of its bell-like cry and the warm feather in Lily's hands. She stood alone in the garden, her heart pounding like thunder. The magical feather hummed and glowed, casting dancing light across her simple dress. She'd done it. She'd stayed awake when her older sisters couldn't. She'd seen the mysterious creature that had been stealing from Queen Isabella's enchanted tree. But this was only the beginning. Lily didn't know it yet, but her entire life was about to change. Subscribe to our channel and ring that bell, because this adventure is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The garden around her seemed different somehow. The roses looked brighter, the stars seemed closer, and the air itself felt charged with magic. Lily tucked the precious feather carefully into her pocket and hurried back through the winding paths toward the castle, her mind spinning with questions. What was that creature? Why did it want the apples? And why had it left her this gift? Her father, Thomas, was waiting by the garden gate, packing back and forth with worry written all over his weathered face. When he saw Lily running toward him, safe and sound, relief flooded through him like a wave. "Did you fall asleep too?" he asked gently, not wanting to make her feel bad. Lily shook her head, her eyes shining with excitement. "Father, I saw it. I saw what's been taking the apples." She pulled out the silver feather, and Thomas gasped. The magical light illuminated both their faces, casting a soft glow that seemed to push back the darkness itself. "We must show this to Queen Isabella at first light," he whispered, staring at the impossible object in his daughter's small hands. "She needs to know." That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She lay in her small bed in the gardener's cottage, the feather resting on her nightstand, still glowing softly like a tiny moon. Questions swirled through her mind like autumn leaves in the wind. Why had the phoenix come? What did it want with the magical apples? And why had it left her this feather? Outside her window, the moon hung full and bright. Somewhere out there, the silver phoenix was flying through the darkness. And somehow, deep in her heart, Lily knew this was just the beginning. Something big was coming. Something that would take her far beyond the castle walls and into a world of magic she'd never dreamed existed. If you're already hooked, smash that like button, because Lily's journey is about to take an incredible turn. The next morning, Queen Isabella's eyes went wide when she saw the glowing feather. "Impossible," she whispered, holding it up to the light streaming through the throne room windows. "A silver phoenix. I thought they were only legends." Lily stood before the queen, her hands clasped nervously in front of her simple dress. The grand throne room felt enormous, with its high ceilings and marble columns. But the queen's kind eyes made her feel a little braver. "Your Majesty," Lily said quietly. The bird looked sad, like it needed the apples for something important. The queen nodded slowly, her face troubled. "The old stories say that phoenixes only appear when great magic is in danger. This feather is priceless, worth more than my entire treasury. But I don't want just one feather, child. I need the whole bird. Only then can I understand what threatens our kingdom." She looked at Thomas, then back at Lily. "Someone must find this phoenix and bring it to me. Someone brave enough to journey into the unknown." Lily's oldest sister, Charlotte, stepped forward immediately. "I'll go, Your Majesty. I'm strong and fearless." The queen smiled and gave her blessing. Charlotte packed fancy clothes and expensive jewelry, certain she'd succeed quickly. She set off into the forest that very afternoon, walking with her head held high. By evening, she reached the edge of the deep woods where two paths split apart. A fox sat there, watching her with clever golden eyes. Charlotte reached for her bow, ready to shoot. "Wait," the fox said, and Charlotte nearly dropped her weapon in surprise. A talking fox. "I can help you find what you seek. Listen carefully, soon you'll reach a village with two inns. One will be bright and cheerful, full of music and laughter. The other will look dark and shabby. You must stay in the shabby one." Charlotte laughed. "Why would I sleep in a dirty inn when there's a nice one? You're just a silly animal." She shot an arrow at the fox, but it darted into the bushes and disappeared. That evening, Charlotte found the village exactly as the fox described. One inn glowed with warm light, voices singing and dancing inside. The other looked cold and unwelcoming. "Only a fool would choose that ugly place," she said, walking into the beautiful inn. The food was delicious, the beds were soft, and Charlotte forgot all about the silver phoenix. Days turned into weeks and she never left. When Charlotte didn't return, Rosalind volunteered next. "I'm smarter than my sister. I won't fail." But the same thing happened. The fox gave her the same warning. Rosalind ignored it, chose the pretty inn, and forgot her quest entirely. Finally, young Lily stepped forward. "Please, Your Majesty, let me try." The queen looked doubtful. "You're so small, dear child." "But I'm the one who found the phoenix before," Lily said, her voice steady. "Maybe it will trust me." After much discussion, the queen agreed. Lily packed a simple bag with bread, cheese, and a water bottle. She hugged her father goodbye, tears in both their eyes. "Be careful, my brave girl," Thomas whispered. Lily walked into the forest, following the same path her sisters had taken. The trees grew thick around her, and birds sang overhead. She felt scared but also excited. This was her first real adventure. As the sun began to set, she reached the place where the paths split. And there, waiting just as before, sat the fox with golden eyes. "Hello," Lily said softly, not reaching for her bow. "Can you help me?" The fox's eyes brightened with surprise and approval. "Finally, someone with manners. Yes, little one, I can help you find the silver phoenix, but you must trust me completely." Would Lily succeed where her sisters failed? Could she truly trust this mysterious talking fox? Keep watching to find out, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a magical moment. "Sit on my tail," the fox said, flicking its bushy red tail toward Lily. She hesitated for just a moment, then climbed on. The fur was surprisingly soft and warm. The fox grinned, showing sharp white teeth that somehow didn't seem scary at all. "Hold tight." They shot forward like an arrow from a bow. Trees blurred past them, the wind whipped through Lily's hair, and her stomach flipped with excitement. They raced over hills and through valleys so fast that everything became a streak of green and brown. It felt like flying. When they finally stopped at the village, Lily slid off the fox's tail, her legs wobbly. "Thank you," she said, catching her breath. "Remember what I told you," the fox said seriously. "Stay in the shabby inn no matter how tempting the other one looks. Trust me." Lily nodded and walked into the village. Just as the fox had said, 2 inns stood across from each other. One blazed with light and music, people laughing and celebrating inside. It looked so warm and inviting. The other inn was dark and quiet, with peeling paint and a crooked sign. Lily's feet wanted to walk toward the cheerful inn, but she remembered the fox's words. She remembered how her sisters had failed by not listening. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door of the shabby inn. Inside, it was simple but clean. An old woman with kind eyes gave her a small room and a bowl of warm soup. Lily ate quietly, then went to bed on the lumpy mattress. It wasn't comfortable, but she'd kept her promise to the fox. In the morning, the fox was waiting outside. "Well done, little one. You passed the first test. Now comes the harder part." They raced through the countryside again, Lily clinging to the fox's tail as the world rushed past. Finally, they stopped before an enormous castle made of black stone. Soldiers lay scattered around the entrance, all of them snoring loudly. "They're under a sleeping spell," the fox explained. "Walk past them, they won't wake up. Inside, you'll find a room where the silver phoenix rests in a simple wooden cage. Next to it sits a beautiful golden cage covered in jewels. Listen carefully, Lily. You must take the bird in the wooden cage. Do not, I repeat, do not put it into the golden cage, no matter how much you want to. Promise me." Lily's heart pounded. "I promise." "Good, now go. And remember, things aren't always what they seem. The simple choice is often the right one." Lily crept past the sleeping soldiers and into the castle. Her footsteps echoed on the cold stone floors. She climbed a winding staircase and pushed open a heavy wooden door. There it was. The silver phoenix sat in a plain wooden cage, its feathers dim and dull. It looked so sad, so uncomfortable in that ugly cage. And right beside it sat the most beautiful golden cage Lily had ever seen. It sparkled with rubies and diamonds, with velvet cushions inside and silver perches. The phoenix would be so much happier in that beautiful cage, wouldn't it? Lily's hand reached for the golden cage's door. The phoenix looked at her with those ancient, knowing eyes. It seemed to be trying to tell her something. "Stop, remember, listen." Lily's hand froze. The fox's words echoed in her mind. The simple choice is often the right one. She pulled her hand back and instead opened the wooden cage. The phoenix stepped onto her arm, light as air despite its size. She held it carefully, feeling its warmth through her sleeve. But just as she turned to leave, she glanced back at that beautiful golden cage one more time. It was so pretty. The phoenix deserved beauty, didn't it? Wouldn't it be happier? Before she could stop herself, Lily set the bird down and began transferring it to the golden cage. The moment the phoenix touched the golden bars, it let out a piercing shriek that shattered the silence like breaking glass. Every soldier in the castle woke up at once. Lily had made a terrible mistake. What would happen to her now? Would she ever see her father again? Hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will leave you on the edge of your seat. Soldiers burst through the door, their armor clanking and swords drawn. Lily's heart dropped to her stomach as rough hands grabbed her arms. The phoenix shrieked again, flapping its wings wildly inside the golden cage. "A thief," one soldier shouted. "She's trying to steal the king's magical bird." They dragged Lily down the winding stairs and threw her into a dark, cold dungeon cell. The heavy door slammed shut with a sound that made her jump. She was alone in the darkness, and tears started rolling down her cheeks. She'd failed. She'd broken her promise to the fox, and now she was trapped. The next morning, guards brought her before the king, a tall man with a gray beard and cold eyes. He sat on his throne, looking down at her like she was nothing more than a bug. "You tried to steal my silver phoenix," he said, his voice echoing through the hall. For this crime, you will die at dawn." Lily's whole body trembled. "Please, Your Majesty, I didn't mean to." "Unless," the king interrupted, leaning forward, "you bring me the swift horse from the eastern mountains. This horse can run faster than the wind itself. Bring it to me, and I'll give you the phoenix and spare your life. Fail, and you'll return here to face your punishment." The soldiers released her at the castle gates. Lily stumbled into the forest, her legs shaking so badly she could barely walk. She'd been so foolish. Why hadn't she listened to the fox? Why had she thought she knew better? She sat down under a tree and cried, burying her face in her hands. Everything was ruined. She'd never get the phoenix now. She'd never see her father again. The queen would be so disappointed. "Still making mistakes, I see," said a familiar voice. Lily looked up. The fox sat before her, one eyebrow raised. "I'm sorry," Lily sobbed. "I should have listened to you. I thought the phoenix would be happier in the beautiful cage, but I was wrong. I was so wrong." The fox sighed, but its golden eyes weren't angry, they were sad and understanding. "Yes, you made a mistake. But here's what matters, little one, you know it was a mistake. You learned from it. That's what makes you different from your sisters. But now I have to find an impossible horse, and I don't even know where to start." "I know where it is," the fox said quietly, "and I'll help you again. But this time, Lily, you must trust me completely. No matter what you see, no matter how tempting something looks, you must do exactly as I say. Can you promise me that?" Lily wiped her tears and looked into the fox's eyes. "I promise. This time I really, truly promise." "Then climb on my tail. We have a long journey ahead." They raced across mountains and through valleys. The fox told her about the swift horse as they traveled. "It stands in a stable next to a sleeping groom. Beside the horse, you'll see 2 saddles, an old leather one and a beautiful golden one covered in jewels. You must use the old leather saddle. Do you understand?" "I understand," Lily said firmly. "The simple choice is the right one. I won't forget again." When they reached the eastern mountains, Lily crept into the stable. There stood the magnificent swift horse, white as snow with a mane that shimmered like silk. The groom slept nearby, snoring softly. Just as the fox had said, 2 saddles hung on the wall. The golden one sparkled and shined, covered in precious stones. The leather one was worn and cracked. Lily didn't hesitate. She grabbed the old leather saddle and placed it gently on the horse's back. The horse nickered softly, but didn't make a loud sound. Lily let it quietly out of the stable, her heart racing but her mind clear. She'd learned her lesson, and this time she'd done it right. The fox waited outside, and when it saw her with the horse, it smiled the biggest smile Lily had ever seen on an animal. "Well done, little one. You've grown wiser. Now the real adventure begins." Lily had finally learned to trust and listen. But could she outsmart not one, but 2 greedy kings and bring the silver phoenix home to Queen Isabella? The answer is coming, so make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is on. Lily rode the swift horse back to the black stone castle, the wind whipping through her hair as they galloped faster than she'd ever imagined possible. The fox ran alongside them, keeping pace with ease. When they arrived, the king's eyes lit up with greed. "The swift horse, you actually found it." He clapped his hands together. "Very well, take your phoenix and go." But as the servants brought out the silver phoenix in its wooden cage, Lily's heart sank. The bird looked even sadder than before, its feathers barely glowing at all. The fox whispered in her ear, "Trust me one more time. When you ride away on the swift horse, reach down and pull the phoenix onto the saddle with you. Then ride as fast as you can." Lily nodded. She climbed onto the swift horse, and just as the king waved goodbye, she reached down and grabbed the phoenix's cage. "Go!" she shouted. The horse shot forward like lightning. Behind her, she heard the king screaming with rage, but they were already too far away for anyone to catch them. They raced across the kingdom, and Lily felt joy bubbling up inside her chest. She'd done it. Well, almost. She still needed to get back to Queen Isabella. But the fox had other plans. "We're going back to the first castle," the fox said. "The one where you made your mistake, I'll wait outside with the swift horse. You go in and ask for the phoenix. When the king sees the horse, he'll want to bring out the bird himself. That's when you grab the phoenix and run. Jump on the horse and we'll escape together." Everything happened exactly as the fox predicted. The king of the Black Castle saw the magnificent swift horse and insisted on bringing the phoenix out personally. The moment Lily held the bird, she ran. She leaped onto the horse's back. The phoenix clutched safely in her arms, and they galloped away before anyone could stop them. The phoenix began to glow brighter and brighter as they rode. It spread its wings and let out a joyful cry that sounded like music. Freedom! Finally, it was free. When they finally stopped to rest, the fox looked at Lily with those wise golden eyes. "You've done well, little one. You've learned that true wisdom means listening to those who know more than you. You've learned that simple and plain can be better than fancy and beautiful. And you've learned that sometimes the right choice is the hard one." Lily hugged the fox tightly. "Thank you for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." The fox smiled. "Now go, return to your queen. Your father misses you terribly." Lily rode the swift horse back to Queen Isabella's castle. The silver phoenix perched on her shoulder, glowing like a small sun. When she arrived, the whole kingdom gathered to see her. Her father ran forward and swept her into his arms, tears of joy streaming down his face. Queen Isabella smiled warmly. "You've brought back not just the phoenix, but also the swift horse. You've done what your older sisters could not. You listened, you learned, and you succeeded." The phoenix flew from Lily's shoulder and landed on the enchanted apple tree. Its silver light spread across the garden, making every flower bloom brighter, every leaf shine greener. The bird sang a song so beautiful that everyone who heard it felt peace wash over them. "The phoenix wasn't stealing apples," Lily explained. "It was protecting them. It was trying to keep the kingdom's magic safe from those who would misuse it." From that day forward, the silver phoenix lived in Queen Isabella's garden, and no harm ever came to the magical apples again. Lily became the royal keeper of magical creatures, and she spent her days learning about all the wonderful, mysterious beings that lived in the kingdom. And every evening, just before sunset, a red fox would appear at the garden gate. Lily would sit with her old friend, and they would share stories and laugh together. She had learned that the greatest adventures come to those who listen, who stay humble, and who choose wisdom over pride. And she lived happily ever after, surrounded by magic, friendship, and the warm glow of the silver phoenix's light. If you loved this magical bedtime story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more enchanting tales. Hit that like button, and let us know in the comments which story you'd like to hear next. Sweet dreams, little ones.